Hello, my name is Christina Vieira. I am the director of the Center for Diversity Education at UNC Asheville. It is a great honor for me to announce Dr. Tiece Ruffin as the recipient of the 2022 Rosa Parks Award bestowed by the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Association of Asheville and Buncombe County. The recipients of this award are recognized for their service and activism to foster inclusion in the Asheville community, their efforts to achieve a just society for the disadvantaged, their nonviolent pursuit of a better life for non-majority people, and their inspired direct action in the cause of social justice. Dr. Ruffin receives this prestigious award for her dedication and leadership in working to improve public education in North Carolina as a champion for justice, equity, and inclusion for our community's diverse students. In addition to her remarkable service to advance social justice in the Asheville community, Dr. Ruffin is a dedicated educational scholar and professor at UNC Asheville. Her research interests include learners with special needs, diverse learners, pedagogical approaches for the diverse and inclusive classroom, service learning, and the internationalization of teacher education. She has authored and co-authored several publications and presented at both national and international conferences. Her book, Somalis and Disability, Cultural Context and Implications for Practice, is considered one of the best descriptions of the cultural context that structures our understanding of ability and disability for Somali African refugees, and how culturally responsive education systems can bridge or break assumptions we hold about our students and create new opportunities for educational growth. Once again, it is an incredible honor to announce Dr. Tiece Ruffin as the recipient of the 2022 Rosa Parks Award.
My name is Dr. Tiece Ruffin, and I'm a mother scholar, meaning that mothering my Black male sons, age 14 and 16, confront with and intersect with my scholarly intellect and education, and informs my thinking of educational justice, not only for my children, but for all children and others to thrive. I'm also a teacher educator where I prepare pre-service teachers and offer in-service professional development to current teachers and other educational personnel, and inclusive, equitable, and justice-based learning spaces. And I'm a publicly engaged scholar activist. I don't believe that I should stay in the ivory tower, institutions of higher education, where I simply research or problematize issues, but where I take action, influence policy, use my scholarly expertise as protest and as a disruptor to propose solutions and engage in work with the community to transform. I impact the Asheville community by working with various communities of practice in schools, alongside community partners with community-based organizations, serving on boards, really trying to move the needle forward for our children to thrive and progress in their education. What inspires me to persevere in times of adversity is my asset-based lens or orientation to thrive. I consider, what are the things that allows me to thrive? What has fortified me? What has strengthened me? I draw from the power of community and family. I really lean into my culture, family traditions, and heritage. I also think about ancestral manifestation, memory, and legacy, going back to the Black traditional excellence on the continent of Africa in antiquity and Kemet and the Egyptian mystery schools, and thinking about that the excellence that existed now runs through my DNA, and how do I draw from that ancestral manifestation of excellence in education? I also think about and remind myself that I have the freedom to operate in my own humanity, and I have to nurture that and exist in and live in my full humanity while still remembering that our ancestors struggled and they met challenges in front of them. And I understand how they confronted the challenges of their time. And I'm also drawn upon that strength to deal with the challenges that we face today. I know it's possible. I know it can be done. I know that I must be a freedom fighter to continue to press towards justice and freedom. Wow, I am so inspired by my community, my beloved Asheville community. Community agency is what gives me hope. I'm seeing community members work vigorously towards supporting the education of children in our community. I can count at least 10 community-based organizations that's doing the work. They are resisting, they are rebelling, they are not accepting no. They are not accepting that this is what it is and we must deal with it. They are engaged. And that's really what's giving me hope. It's the hope that exists from the time the Asheville City Schools commenced in 1887, when Isaac Dixon was the first school board member, and the district sought to educate Black children in an unequal way. But I'm inspired today, as I was when I read that the Asheville folks, Black Ashevilleans, had 600 kids show up in 1888 at the first Black city school in Asheville, public school, and how they had to turn kids away and only accept 250 kids. I'm just really inspired by community agency, of not waiting for others to come in and do the work or for others to come up with the solution, but being engaged themselves. I'm also inspired by youth resistance and engagement. Just like in the sit-in movements of the 1960s in Asheville with A-Score, thinking about the walkout at Asheville High in 1969 and 1972 to today, the youth are not accepting nothing less than excellence and justice and freedom and inclusivity. We have the REAP program, Racial Equity Ambassador Program, where youth are actually teaching their teachers and culturally responsive pedagogy. I'm excited about that. And Asheville City Schools Foundation leading that, as well as the young people at Asheville High and Silsa, youth resistance and engagement. And lastly, how so many folks in many different arenas are focused on equity, justice, and inclusion for our education system. So many people are involved in seeing that this is the way to go. This is not like, let's push this to the side and be color mute or think that we're in a post-racial world. They see that. And we know we see that with the Lenore Ryan Equity and Diversity Institute and that great program in our community as well, and what it's doing to move mountains in equity, justice, and inclusion in our area. Winning this award is important to me. I am truly honored and humbled for this distinction. Rosa Parks is the first lady of the civil rights movement. She resisted injustice. She rebelled against racial discrimination and prejudice and inequality. She was strategic and uncompromising. She sought freedom and justice unabashedly. And it just wasn't the one incident. It was sustained throughout her life. And so as I think about her quote, I believe we are here on the planet Earth to live, grow up, and do what we can do to make this world a better place for all people to enjoy freedom. That truly honors me, to be among freedom fighters and all liberators for our collective liberation and humanity. And I thank the Martin Luther King Jr. Association of Asheville and Buncombe County for recognizing my individual efforts as well as my collective efforts with and alongside community for education justice for our children.